Hey Pittsburgh, it's Megan. One of my all-time favorite events in the city is coming up soon, Arborade, benefiting, of course, Tree Pittsburgh. There's going to be delicious food and drinks and live music from a couple wonderful Pittsburgh acts. But my favorite part is knowing that I'm helping support our shared urban forest. Tree Pittsburgh does so much great work in our community, from tree giveaways to education, and let's be honest, they've got one of the cutest mascots in the game. Plan to party with us at Arborade. That's Saturday, September 16th from 5 to 9 p.m. And definitely check their website. There are ticket options for every budget. Find more at treepittsburgh.org. Today on CityCast Pittsburgh. The research is in, and surprise, surprise, Pittsburgh is not the fittest city in America. An iconic Kennywood ride is going away temporarily, and we've got a few ways that you can help the families affected by the house explosion in Plum. It's August 18th, the Friday News Roundup. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about. I'm with CityCast producers Mallory Falk. Good morning.
Good morning.
And introducing Sophia Lowe. Welcome to the microphone.
Hi, so excited to be here.
Sophia, on a scale from 1 to 10, how happy are you to be on mic right now?
5-ish. Not that I'm not happy. It's also just been a moment since I've been on mic, so a little bit nervous.
We're excited for your debut.
Thanks.
Very. As we're recording this, I think you've been with the CityCast crew for, 2.5 weeks? What do you think? Is it what you thought it would be?
Yeah, it's been super fun. Super great making soda as part of training for a future episode.
That's true. We did immediately throw you into a field trip, get your hands dirty kind of episode. I'm looking forward to that one.
Get your hands dirty, very literally.
Yeah, blueberry juice. Y'all wait up. I guess
it's going to be a lot of squishing sounds on mic. Just you wait.
Oh, God, you're not selling it. Well, let's move on to our first story today. I just thought this was funny. It was from a few weeks ago. The American College of Sports Medicine released its 16th annual American Fitness Index. We did not fare that poorly, but I wouldn't say it went well either. Have y'all seen the results of this?
I have, yeah.
I have not looked yet. But
Mallory, are you a fitness enthusiast?
You all heard my lack of enthusiasm for the Pittsburgh Marathon, so you can probably already guess that I'm not exactly a fitness enthusiast. I'm probably not helping with our rankings in this index.
I don't know if that's true, actually, the way they calculate it. And of course, I am an obnoxious CrossFit person, which should surprise no one. Sophia, you're a boxer, is that right?
Yeah, I go to boxing class. I wouldn't say I'm a boxer.
I feel like that's someone who says, I run. I'm not a runner.
I feel like running's different, though. Like, I haven't fought anyone. I'm not trying to fight anyone. It's not a ring.
No, but you're still doing the thing. You're trying it.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, how do y'all think we did? It is many, many cities, like dozens and dozens. Where do you think Pittsburgh ranked? High, low?
My guess would be somewhere like medium. I don't know what the metrics are, but there's a lot of good spots for hiking in Pittsburgh. A lot of, I see a lot of people out in their bike spandex climbing these outrageous hills. So I feel like we're, fitter maybe than the average city, but not at the top.
So then what were the metrics for deciding how fit each city is?
Yeah, there were 2 different scores in play that made up our overall score, which was 29th, by the way. I didn't think that was that bad, considering.
Out of how many?
It was 100. So 29 out of 100 isn't that bad. Yeah, so there were 2 parameters that made up that one overall score, a personal health rank and then a separate community or environmental health rank. So for community, it was stuff like you mentioned, Mallory, proximity to parks, the number of athletic assets that we have. So like baseball diamonds, basketball hoops, swimming pools. I'm just imagining whoever is counting that on Google Maps. And then, of course, my favorite, air quality. So like
that probably tanked us a little bit.
Probably. But then also, I thought this was a good one, like how much the city spends on park assets per resident. So that was just a little over $100 compared to like the number 1 city spent well over $200 per resident on its city parks every year. But yeah, we did pretty good for this one, for the community ranking. We were 9th overall in the nation.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's really impressive.
Yeah, we have huge parks. So like that's a huge part of it. personal scores, a little more grim. We were 59th in the nation.
Oof. Yeah, that's a real dip.
Yeah. So you can see where the average really comes in there. That had to do with the prevalence of chronic diseases. So like asthma, edema, high blood pressure, obesity, diabetes, smoking, some self-reported diet factors and exercise habits, sleep quality. A lot of this was attributed to the usual reasons that people say Pittsburgh isn't healthy, like our population is just like older than a lot of other cities. And also, I thought this was a really good point that just because we have all these wonderful assets doesn't mean that people find them particularly accessible or meaningful to their lives.
I was definitely going to ask whether accessibility goes into the score at all, because, right, we have all of these nice spaces, but if only certain people in the city can really access them or take advantage of them, then like what good does that actually do?
And how much people use assets like public transit, too, was another one. So, like, our sidewalks not being in good shape, for example. Friends of the Riverfront were quoted in the PG with what I thought was a really good, like, specific example. So, like, maybe you're 2 blocks away from a great trailhead, but there's this super dangerous intersection between your home and that access point. So, even though it's, like, incredibly close, that's not useful to you. Like, there's a lot of systemic level work that has to be done to make your city actually useful and feel more healthy to your family.
Yeah, every time I take the Heritage Trail, I bike the Heritage Trail to work, and there's definitely a section where I'm really taking my life into my own hands, trying to cross some traffic to reconnect with a bridge, and I'm like 3/4 of the way there to having like a really nice, accessible, safe route to work.
And I feel like that's been true of so much of the city. Like they're doing a lot of good work to connect a lot of trail points, but like you'll have a piece of amazing trail and then nowhere to really go from there.
Yeah.
Like the downtown corridor is a really good example, like around the Gap Trail and various points where that kind of all connects. Sophia, what about you? I know you're new to town. How healthy does Pittsburgh feel to you?
I would say I feel healthier since moving to Pittsburgh, and
Really?
I can definitively feel this. Yeah, because I moved here from the Midwest because I was there for a few years for college, very flat. The first time I walked up a hill, like absolutely awful. And now I can do it without complaining. So there's that.
Yeah.
That is such a good natural fitness tracker of when you stop panting when you get to the top of a hill.
Yeah, I remember when I think it was my parents were first visiting me here in town. My dad commented that he saw like these like what appeared to be like 80 or 90-year-old people carrying their groceries up the hill from the Giant Eagle that I was close to. And he was like, I get it. I get why people live so long here. So I guess if you're feeling inspired, I noticed too that the registration opened this week for the 2024 Pittsburgh Marathon. Mallory, are you feeling inspired after your experience handing out Twizzlers this year?
I'm feeling inspired to be a spectator again. I would definitely join the Twizzler Brigade. It's going to take a lot for me to reach a point where I would actually participate in a marathon, but I really did love bringing joy to other participants. So shout out again to Erin, who invited our crew to hand out Twizzlers at the marathon this year.
Yeah, the Birmingham Bridge group, they were amazing. We'll have a link to this study and the marathon registration, if that's your thing, in our show notes. Hey Pittsburgh, it's Megan. If you're craving a delicious scoop on a hot summer day, get yourself up to Bakery Square. It's the new local home for Jenny's Ice Cream in Pittsburgh. I know, it's sort of sacrilegious here to love an Ohio brand this much, but y'all, I've been a Jenny's stan for years. Their flavors are so creative. The brown butter almond brittle, the brambleberry crisp, the darkish chocolate. They have dairy-free and gluten-free options too, and they'll be dropping new flavors every week now through August 10th. I am so stoked that I can finally get my from-scratch Jenny's Fix right here in Pittsburgh at Target, Whole Foods, even Giant Eagle. Find all their flavors and fun facts at Jenny's, that's JENIS.com. Hey Pittsburgh, did you know we're almost halfway to St. Patrick's Day? The 32nd annual Pittsburgh Irish Festival is taking over the Kerry Blast Furnaces in Swissvale again for 3 days of live music, Irish food and beverages, a huge maker market, kids crafts and games, axe throwing, plus short tours of the historic steelmaking site itself. You can even learn about Gaelic sports with on-site lessons and demos, genealogy, or take a virtual reality tour of the Cliffs of Moher. I've seen the real cliffs, and trust me, it'll be great to skip the whole windbreaker thing. And don't worry about Yin's teams. There's going to be a huge big screen to watch the Pirates and the Steelers games that weekend. It's all happening September 8th, 9th, and 10th. Find tickets and more at pghirishfest.org. So something for your weekend. If you're a Kennywood enthusiast, Sunday is the last day to ride the Turtle at Kennywood Park. I personally had no memory of this ride, probably because I was always focused on the roller coaster that's right beside it.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a ride for people who are dragged to amusement parks but hate roller coasters.
Or that have small children, maybe?
Or that have small children, although there's Kittyland for that. But yeah, I mean, I feel like this is a very iconic ride, and it's probably the most visually appealing because it's these little turtles bopping around on their journey through Kennywood.
I saw someone on Reddit post that they didn't know why anyone would actually ride this thing if they had any, like, if they didn't have a problem with motion sickness, you know?
But yeah, so it's not going away like completely, Megan, right? Just for a little bit.
Yeah, officials say that this is just to help preserve it because this is so old. Kennywood says it's the last ride of its kind, originally built in Beaver Falls and debuted in 1927. It was called the Tumble Bug, which was like a generic name, I guess, for that kind of ride, and then updated to the Turtle in 1948.
So was it not originally a turtle?
Nope. They made them into turtles. I guess they were bugs to start. Although there's no photos for me to independently confirm that, so I don't know. But yeah, I guess the turtle was a post-war edition.
Sophia, I know you just went to Kennywood for the first time this summer. Were you drawn at all to the turtle?
Absolutely not. I have none of the native nostalgia you have. I did ride the turtle.
Wait, you rode it?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. I think that's more than I can say.
I've never ridden it.
As the lifelong Pittsburgher on the call.
It's just really long. You go in circles so many times. So I don't think it would help with motion sickness. And yeah, I was paying attention to the roller coasters next to me. It's a great use of space, though. I don't think anything else can fit there. It fits so nicely between the two roller coasters.
Yeah, because it's like right next to the Phantom's Revenge. So as you're making that scary climb up the hill, you can look down and see the children and their turtles.
In Sophia, apparently. Yeah, the trip had a really good story about like construction details, if that's something you're into. I guess they have to disassemble the entire thing and then jackhammer the foundation to get to the bedrock to be able to preserve it. Because it's been there so long, they got a lot of work to do.
Do we know when the turtle's going to be back for turtle enthusiasts?
Well, they had to start now because apparently the ground is too cold. It freezes during the winter. So they had to go ahead and do it at the end of this summer season just to be able to finish it. So I think that groundwork stuff happens this winter.
Meaning it will be back in action next summer is the goal?
Yeah, it sounds like the plan is 2024. So we're going to take an extremely hard left turn. We wanted to bring you a little bit of light before the dark. We had a really, really bad accident here in Pittsburgh, it seems like, over the weekend. And we wanted to make sure we were able to bring you some ways that maybe you can help some of the folks affected by the house that exploded in Plum Borough.
Yeah, so, we just want to share a little overview of what happened, but then really get into the ways that you can support the families who've been affected by this. So just before 10:30 last Saturday morning, a house exploded on Rustic Ridge Drive, a cul-de-sac in the borough. 3 homes were destroyed, the house that exploded, and then 2 others burned to the ground, and about a dozen other houses were damaged. 6 people died, including one who was hospitalized for several days after the explosion. And at this point, most of the homes there have been released back to the homeowners to decide whether they'll repair them or have to demolish them.
I feel like almost everybody in town has seen this. Like, I mean, honestly, friends were asking me about it back in Tennessee because this video has just been everywhere. Did y'all see it? The video captured from a neighbor's ring cam?
Yeah, it's a lot. And you can really see the impact of the explosion just because the ring camera was so far away, and like then this whole house goes up in flames, and then there's
debris
still stuff.
are just everywhere.
And I think it really captures how it was just kind of this like still peaceful morning, and it really just comes completely out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do we have any idea at this point how it happened?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like this is going to be a really long investigation that could take months or maybe even a full year to figure things out. The president of Peoples Gas said that they did official checks that indicated their system was operating as designed. We've recently heard the fire marshal's office say that the house that exploded was having issues with the hot water tank in the basement. And so they're going to investigate that along with any other possibilities that might explain what occurred. But yeah, at this point, we just don't know for sure, and we might not have answers for a while.
This isn't the first time a house has exploded in Plum, right? Do we know why the other explosions have happened?
Yeah, so according to the Trib, 5 houses have exploded in Plum since the mid-90s. That includes this most recent one. I will say that the county fire marshal on Thursday said his office hasn't found any signs that there's a link between these explosions. The most recent one, which happened in 2022, is still under investigation. But at least according to the county, the others were caused by everything from damage to a gas pipeline, to a gas leak, to a suicide attempt. But in this Trib story, one fire chief did acknowledge that he understands why some people might feel uneasy knowing there have been multiple house explosions in this borough, which also happens to sit on top of old mines and has active gas wells.
I know a lot of neighbors have still been helping out the families that have been affected by the accident. What do we know about the victims of this?
So the victims include a father and son, Casey Clontz, and his 12-year-old son, Keegan. It sounds like the two of them were pretty inseparable. They loved doing outdoor activities together, things like hunting and fishing. And tragically, Keegan was supposed to start junior high in less than 2 weeks. There was also a couple, Heather and Paul Orovitz. Their house is the one that exploded. Paul was in the burn unit at the hospital for a while, but sadly he died on Wednesday. And Heather was actually Plum's director of community development. Another Plum official also died in the blast. His name was Michael Thomas, and he was borough manager for years. I read that he was, I guess, a great cook and wanted to open a restaurant when he retired. And then there was Kevin Sabunia, a youth soccer coach who worked at a construction company. I saw this interview with his daughter on KDK, and she described him as the neighborhood go-to guy for everything from tools to advice. So those were the 6 victims.
Well, so we wanted to be able to share some resources for ways that you can help if it speaks to you. Mallory, can you share a few of those?
Yeah, so at the time of this recording, I could find verified GoFundMes for the Clontz and the Orovitz families, who both lost 2 members. There's also a raffle fundraiser for the Clontz family. Tickets cost $10, and then one winner will get a full day offshore fishing trip on Lake Erie. And the family that's organizing this says that's in honor of Keegan and Casey's love of fishing. So it's a way to really, honor their memory. There's also a verified GoFundMe for the Smith family. They survived the explosion, but theirs was one of the 3 houses that was just completely destroyed. So this is meant to help them get back on their feet. And then in terms of other people who've been displaced, there's this group called Angels in Disguise that helps victims of house fires. And they've partnered with the Renton Volunteer Fire Department to support these families. So they're accepting monetary donations and also gift cards. They said gift cards to places like Sheetz, Giant Eagle, Target, Walmart, and even restaurant gift cards, can all go a long way toward helping folks. And they've also set up a special bank account for the victims. We'll have links in our show notes with more details about all of this and some other fundraisers, because this is really just a sampling. A lot of people are trying to help out.
Yeah. Well, and I guess just to kind of lift us back up going into the weekend, I'd love to hear, from each of you, maybe something that you're looking forward to, a bright spot in the next couple of days.
So this weekend, I'm excited for City of Asylum's Dog Days of Summer book sale. So that's...
Oh, I didn't know they did that.
Yeah, so there's a book sale from August 17th to 20th, but the last day is this big event. The Instagram caption calls it an all-out art bash. So that has live music and vendors. I'm super excited. Trying to set a $50 budget so I don't spend too much money on books. But yeah, select books are 40% off, which is really great.
Yeah, no kidding. And they just have a stunning space over in the north side. Mallory, what about you?
I'm excited. Every Sunday in August, including this Sunday, it's Reservoir of Jazz at the Highland Park Reservoir. This week, it's Aurora Jazz Fusion. It's from 5 to 7 p.m. And so it's just a really nice event to be able to be out and, speaking of our amazing park spaces here in Pittsburgh at the top of the episode, It's a great way to experience one of our really nice parks, hang out by the reservoir and hear some nice jazz.
Take a blanket, take some snacks, hear some music. It's nice. Mine is in Uptown. They're doing their first annual. I always love a first annual. It's very hopeful. Uptown Community Day. On Saturday, it's from 12 to 5 p.m. Uptown is becoming this great little enclave for artists. So there's going to be a bunch of local art and DJs and bands. They said there's going to be wellness activities and, of course, food and drink. Shout out to Wayne, a listener from Moonlit Burgers, for letting us know about it. They're going to have food there, and then Trace Brewing is opening their new location there, Millie's Ice Cream, and of course Uptown Partners, who's spearheading it all. Should be fun. That's all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. Our music is by Benji. Mallory Falk is our lead producer. Production help this week from Sophia Lowe, yay, Natalie Rivera, Elizabeth Kama, and Maria Carter. Francesca DeBecco writes our newsletter with some editing help this week from Brian Vance and Will Fulton. And I am your host, Megan Harris. We'll be back on Monday with more news from around the city. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Okay, well, Sophia, you made it. First CityCast recording. How you feeling?
Same as before. Hopefully this will get better though in the future.